Alright, micro 9mm comparison. We're going to do the original Springfield Hellcat against the original Sig P365. Before we get started here today though, I want to give my buddy John a big thanks for loaning the Hellcat for a review today and for letting me shoot on the range. Go check him out. Alright, so the P365, normally it comes with 10 round mags, but we got this as part of the tack pack, and with that they give you 3 of the 12 rounders. The Hellcat comes with an 11 round, and also a 13 round, which is in it there. So this 11 rounder here, I don't know if it comes with this pinky extension or if John put it on there, but with the pinky extension, it's pretty much the same size. Okay, well John said it came like that, and to his knowledge, no flat flush base plate, so doesn't really give you any more grip with the 13 rounder there as it does with the 11 rounder with the pinky extension there, because it's pretty much the same. But we got equal and fair length grips here because I got the 12 rounder in the P365, and it doesn't matter whether I use the 11 or 13 rounder in the Hellcat here, because it's pretty much the same length regardless. Like, I guess not back here, but up here where it matters, where your pinky's gripping it, it still gives you that full length. So, but since we have, can't press it against the table. Since we have the slightly longer one in the P365, keep the slightly longer one in the Hellcat there. So obviously these are going to be very similarly sized. So your length there, trying to get it to where you guys can see in the shadow here. The P365 does stick out a little further at the bottom there. See that? So it hangs down. I mean, the length is pretty much identical. Width, pretty much identical. Barrel lengths, pretty much identical. So really all it comes down to is shooting impressions and which one do I shoot better, which one do I like better, which is the whole point of this video. So obviously right off the bat you have a 1 round advantage with the Hellcat here over the Sig, and like I said, that bottom piece, because it curves down there instead of being flat, the front of the grip here with that longer mag there, it's a little bit longer, so I guess it would print a little more, although it gives you a little bit better grip on the Sig. You can see I can get all my fingers on there no problem, whereas it's just barely hanging off a little bit with the Hellcat there. But again, that gives you 1 extra round with a shorter overall grip. So let's say that's an advantage on the Hellcat there. You get 1 extra round, plus it's with a shorter grip. The 1 extra round certainly an advantage. The grip length there, advantage or disadvantage depending on who you ask and the size of their hands. Now this is going to be difficult to show in the full sun here. But these both have the factory sights. And I'll try to get some images I might throw up. Since it's difficult to record this, it's still not going to look great in full sun. But there's your basic overall sight picture on the P365. The front and rear on these glow in the dark. And then on the Hellcat, I really like the sights on these on the Hellcat. The here front glows in the dark, but the rear does not. So I guess technically the P365 has better sights for nighttime shooting because both front and rear glow for you there. But personally, and it's just personal preference, but I prefer the sights on the Hellcat there for, you know, daytime low light shooting. I get on target pretty quick with these because that high contrast there, green front and that white stripe on the back there. The high contrast helps you pick them up quick and also helps you still be able to see them under rapid fire. So it's a little better there for that with the Hellcat during the day, but again, when nighttime for the P365 because both front and rear glow in the dark. As far as the grip texture goes, about equal on both. They both give you really good grip, nice and I wouldn't say super aggressive, but they're plenty aggressive. It's not going to like wear out, rub your hands raw or anything like that, but they give you a good grip. I give them both about the same grade on that. The P365 here has better serrations. They're a lot grippier. But with that said, the Hellcat seems to me to be ever so slightly less resistance to wreck than the P365. You can also see on the Hellcat here, it's optics ready, but they make models that are not optics ready, and same thing with the P365 here. You can either get it with or without the optics ready option there. Both of them have an itty bitty little tack rail on the front there, but on the Sig, you don't get that bottom notch, so you're going to have a little more limited options with what you can mount on the front of that, because you get that little notch there on the Hellcat. Mags drop free from both when empty. Okay. The Hellcat's easier to release the slide if you use the slide lock, slide release, but it has got a little bit of a sharp edge on it, so it's a little uncomfortable to the finger. However, it takes much more effort with the P365. So even though it has rounder edges, it's about the same there as far as like smashing into your finger. But I think that's enough tabletop talk. I'm going to get started out here at 12 yards. I'm going to set up a target right there. 12 yards. I'm not sure about the P365, but I know the Hellcat needed a little tweak the last time I shot it for the original review, which, by the way, if you want to see the original review video, I'll put a link in the description to that if you want to check it out. So I do need to work on these sights a little bit. P365, I can't remember, but we're going to check them both here at 12 yards and get them set up, and then we got some other targets out here to shoot. Depending on how far I stay in, back here it's 25 yards. We got half scale silhouette on the right. I put my 16-inch gong there on the left there for some transitions up close shooting. And then I'll move the gong out to 50 yards and see if we can get 50 yards hits with both of them as well. Alright, I'll start out 12 yards here like I said, see where they're impacting, see how I need to adjust the sights to get them zeroed perfect. I'll do the P365 dot on the right and then the Hellcat dot on the left. Alright, tried to pull the trigger on the first shot there, which I did on the Hellcat. Obviously the P365 is good to go. She's right on bullseye there. So that was my fault. I pulled that shot. Oh, throwing the camera here. Two same hole was, I can't remember. I'll have to check the footage. You guys would have seen it. I thought that was two in the same hole. Because on the second shot I didn't see anything, but on the third shot I didn't either. So I don't know if it was 1, 2, 3 or if those were already there. I'm going to say those are probably fresh. So it looks like I'm shooting the P365 more accurately too. It might be that trigger. We'll go over the trigger here in a second. But as you can see, I'm definitely off to the left and probably a little low too. I can't fix that, but I can adjust that left and right, which is really all I need to do anyways. And by the way, that was using a 6 o'clock hold with both. Just on the bottom of that red dot. So alright, my sight pusher here. For one, this thing's way too stiff with a punch I've already tried. And my sight pusher here, not quite fitting. It's just barely catching that brass piece that hangs down. It's this is made for Glocks, so it's just a little bit too wide to fit in there for that. So unfortunately I'm going to be handicapped with this thing being off to the left today. So anyways, the triggers on these. There's your take up on the Sig, and then we'll pull through. More take up on the Hellcat, and then we'll pull through. One thing you probably noticed there, you do have a trigger safety with the Hellcat. You do not have that on the P365. So the Hellcat has a much nicer, crisper brake. However, it's at least a couple pounds heavier than the Sig. And I think that's why I'm having an issue down there on that target printing just as accurately. You see the creep here on the Sig. If you guys can even hear me in this freaking wind. Okay, but it does seem like about 2 pounds lighter on the Sig there, so that's helping me keep my sight on that bullseye down there as it breaks, even though I'm dealing with the creep on the Sig there. So, but I'm gonna finish these mags off on the target down there, see if I can tighten up my group with the Hellcat a little bit. I can tell you from the review video, it's not an issue while you're actually like shooting targets, but trying to sit there and do slow pull throughs, at least on the first 3 rounds through each here, it's giving me a little bit of issues. So I'm gonna finish these mags off on the target here and see if I can improve that. I don't have the camera zoomed in this time, you guys can see real well, and we'll also see if we're hitting off the edge of the target there. So yeah, I'm definitely a little more accurate with the Sig. I found though with the Hellcat it was better if I just kind of just, not like jerking it, but just did a quicker, firmer pull through with that heavier trigger than a slow pull through like I was with the Sig. Looks like the Sig's averaging just a slightly left for me as well. But you can see here, group's a little bit bigger than with the Sig. And definitely more off to the left there. So again, the sights are adjustable on both for your windage there, left and right, but this is probably perfect, or if it's not, it's close enough. And on the Hellcat there, like I said, my sight pusher is not fitting it correctly because it's made for Glock. I think I'm going to modify it a little bit so that I can do more guns in the future like that. And it was way too stiff for my punch, but with the appropriate sight pusher, you can adjust the sights on the Hellcat there as well. So when we come out here to these targets, I'll just remember to aim slightly off to the right with that Hellcat, just like I did in the review video. Also, by the way, at least by hand and not using a speed loader or anything like that, the P365 mags are easier to load than the Hellcat, at least for me and my little fingers. Alright, but let's try some shots here at 25 on that 16-inch gong and that half-scale silhouette, and then I'll walk up there and do some pace shots back and forth and rapid fire and whatnot. I gotta try that again. That was just horrible with the Hellcat. I don't know, I seen some hit low, I seen some hit right. When I was holding off to the right, I seen some hit left. I shot that thing beautifully in the review video, so maybe it was just because I was sitting down. I don't know. Obviously that wasn't an issue with the P365, but let me put a few more in here and try that standing up. Maybe that's the problem. Alright, that was a lot better, but it's still just throwing me off a little bit, having to like, I'm having to calculate like, okay, don't forget to aim off to the right side too, because it's shooting off to the left, so that's certainly not helping. And I apologize for that. I really thought I was going to be able to fix these sights today with this sight pusher, but I wasn't aware that it wouldn't quite work with the Hellcat. But we'll go up there closer and do some drills or whatever, and it's not going to matter from that close a range. So, I mean, I was getting 50-yard hits with this thing pretty easily as well in the review video. Once I found where to hold, clear off to the right side, so it's more than capable. But I'm definitely noticing, comparing these two side by side, I'm definitely liking the trigger on the Sig better though. Let's go up there a little closer, more real world scenario. You know, they say the average self-defense scenario where you have to use a firearm, average shooting distance is 7 yards, so I think I'm gonna go up there about 10 and we'll see how we do with both.
P365. Hellcat.
Alright, so I was doing rapids down there. I think I got 1 or 2 more hits with the Hellcat. I was honestly just running too fast. One thing I did notice too, it feels wider in the grip. I like the grip on the Hellcat better. I'm hanging on to the Hellcat better, so that was with the 12 round in the P365, 13 round in the Hellcat. They both seem to have about the same recoil. I know some people are saying like the Hellcat is kind of snappy compared to other Micro 9s, which it is, but to me it's not so much of a up and down recoil as it's just a quick snap jolt in the palm, which I actually prefer because the gun stays a lot more flat, so you get back on target faster. Although to some people it will feel like more recoil, but I imagine it's probably similar observations with the P365, so that's probably why the recoil feels about the same on each to me. But I'm holding on to that Hellcat better. So that's 13 versus 12. Remember, that's giving me more pinky there on the P365, but I'm still holding on to the Hellcat better. And this is actually what I wanted to see here. It feels like the grip on the Hellcat is a little bit wider, just a little bit. Yeah, it is. Just a little bit wider there in the back. So I'm not saying that's the only reason why. These finger grooves here on the front, a little more pronounced. I mean, we're talking like a millimeter. So millimeter more pronounced there on the finger grooves on the front. I think it's about a millimeter wider in the back here than the P365. But it seems to be making a difference for me. I'm holding on to it a lot better, and so that's helping a little bit with getting back on target quicker. And then also, like I said, those high contrast sights help a little bit too there. So, but I would say the main difference for me down there, the main thing I noticed is I got a better grip on the Hellcat. So yeah, I really liked the Hellcat in the review video. I've been wondering if that's going to be my top Micro 9mm, and it may be. I'm still doing these comparisons. Believe it or not, and we're doing this one next. Stay tuned for that. My top pick so far was the GX4. I even picked this over the P365. I'll put a link in the video to that comparison if you'd like to see that. Linked in the description. But I'm definitely going to take the Hellcat over the P365 here. Recoil impulse, like I said, about the same. You do have that advantage of, like I said, the night sights. You got front and rear both glowing in the dark there. Over the Hellcat, so there is that to those who matter. Who that, if I could freaking talk to, yeah, I can't talk. Hang on, give me a second. To those who it matters, P365's got better night sights on it. But just overall shooting impressions, I'm liking the Hellcat better. I'm shooting it better. I said here that I was shooting the Hellcat better, but really in hindsight, watching the footage while editing, it seems to be about a draw, honestly. I like these high contrast sights better, and I'm hanging on to it better. Plus, you get 1 extra round, and without it poking out and printing there. Yeah, so I'm going to give the W, in my hands at least, to the Hellcat against the P365. Honestly, I'd say it's about a draw. It just, for me, in my hands, I guess I felt more comfortable with the Hellcat. There's slight advantages and disadvantages to each. So I'd feel comfortable, honestly, saying it's a draw. And you can't go wrong with either of these. So just for some reason this day, I was liking the way the Hellcat felt in my hands better, because I really didn't perform any differently with it than I did with the P365. So now I'm really excited to put it against the GX4, because currently that's my top pick in the Micro 9 category. If you guys want to get yourself any of the products I use in my videos, like my target stand there, paper targets, steel targets, shooting bags, safety glasses, earmuffs, and more, links in the description for all that. Again, links in the description, the original review videos on all these. Also link in the description for the GX4 versus P365. And then, like I said, coming up next, I'm going to do the GX4 and the Hellcat. But thanks for watching, guys, and I hope to see you on the next one.